What causes it?
It has a lot of different causes. Different people have different reasons. Probably one of the most frequent is loneliness. People who either, like you said, are away from their families, either by choice or by force, or people that have experienced loss. People have gone through recent breakups or have had someone die. They will have that sense of sadness or loss. It's a very common phenomenon for the holiday blues because the holidays are such a milestone marker in people's lives that we sort of mark time by them and sort of. So we'll think about.
We're supposed to be all happy.
Right. There's a lot of pressure to be happy, and sometimes people just aren't available for it. To be happy would be fake, and that doesn't feel good either.
Yeah.
Some people experience guilt because they're of the haves and they see people that are the have-nots, and to a large degree, the spending that goes on around Christmas is unnecessary. But so if you're spending money that isn't necessary and you see people who can't even get by, sometimes people feel guilty about that, and then they'll sort of associate that guilt with the holidays. Sometimes it can be just feeling overwhelmed will lead to the blues. Part of that is not sleeping right because you're too busy, or not eating properly because you're too busy to eat. If you eat a lot of fast food because you're always out doing stuff, then it's going to mess with your system. A lot of the parties that we go to are cakes and cookies and stuff like that, and you actually really need to eat proteins, more proteins often. Because that can also, and like it's having sleep schedules off, feeling overwhelmed, unrealistic expectations. Something that happens a lot is childhood memories will also, and that can be either good memories or bad memories. In that, people who have good memories can end up putting really high expectations on the holidays that are sort of unrealistic because they're filtered through children's eyes, and children don't see imperfection in the holidays so much, where adults are the ones fixing the imperfections constantly. Yeah. So if you have this fantasy that the holidays are supposed to be perfect because they were in your childhood, you can end up putting that expectation on yourself, and it's not realistic as an adult. Or the flip side of that is people who've had bad experiences from childhood will continue to associate those bad experiences into their holidays and adulthood, even though there's not, the bad experience isn't actually going on, but they sort of re-experience it.
Yeah.
So those are kind of the main.
What also has, I think, a lot to do with where you're looking through a child's eyes and looking through adult's eyes.
Right.
When you're looking through a child's eyes, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer special is the greatest thing ever. Yeah. I sit here and watched it the other night, and I was like, "Oh my God!" I used to watch.
It's so racist.
It's just.
It was really racist back then.
It's amazing.
It's just like, did I really sit here and watch this as a kid and think it was so great?
I know, right?
It was silly.
We watched it the other day, and when they were picking on Rudolph and not letting him play the reindeer games or whatever, I was like, "Oh my God, that is so racist."
Yeah.
It was really quite a good metaphor for really what the racial situation was back then. And of course, as a kid, you have no idea. You just go,
it would just flow over your head.
Yeah.
It's the song.
Well, see, the one that always got me was the one with Baby New Year.
Right, with the big ears?
With the big ears, because I used to get called Baby New Year. And then I watched it.
I'll try to remember that.
Yeah, and I was watching it the other day, and I was like, God, this is so stupid. It makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, but the Grinch is a good one.
The Grinch is a
good one because in the end he really recognizes that it's not about. I think that one's really about rejecting the expectations, because the people in Whoville come out and they see that everything's gone and they sing anyway.
Yeah.
So they really embrace the spirit of the day versus what the day is laden with.
Yeah.
So I really like the Grinch. To me, is a really good one for that.
Oh,
that's true.
There's good philosophy there.
Yeah, I think a lot of people try to be Martha Stewart about Christmas too, especially gays.
Some gays.
I know. I used to be.
Look at you now.
There's this idea of the perfect Christmas, which is ridiculous. There's no such thing as a perfect. There's no perfect.
It's like the perfect
anything.
wedding.
There's no perfect anything.
Yeah.
So
nothing's perfect.
You kind of do the best you can with it.
Yeah. How does someone know if they have the holiday blues?
Well, I think one of the first things is sort of what is the time frame of it. So again, distinguishing it from depression or sad. But also, if you find yourself irritable around the holidays, frustrated easily, get upset easily, if you just sort of have this lingering disappointment, that's probably a sign that you're experiencing holiday blues. Fatigue is also a sign of holiday blues. Headaches and body aches are a frequent occurrence, but you have to sort of distinguish those from flu symptoms as well.
Really?
That's
bad,
similar. Huh? Yeah. Well, the body can somaticizes because our immune system, our endocrine system, really responds to stress, and then that affects the way the body is. So, stress. When we talk about people, sometimes we talk about people sort of. Well, the term we use is somaticizing, which is people's like fake. They sort of will hide the stress by claiming it's physical symptoms, but the reality is that stress causes physical symptoms. So like body aches and headaches and digestive issues are.
No, I know digestive. Yeah.
Feeling stressed can be, can just be part of the, like I said, you just kind of have that malingering disappointment or frustration are kind of probably the biggest ones.
Plus all the pressure to get everything done by Christmas.
Right. We end up putting a lot of pressure on ourselves to do things, and we don't ever cut ourselves slack. Yeah.
I've noticed, and I've heard a lot of people say this lately, I love the holidays, but for some reason this year, I just want Christmas to be over with.
Like, you hear that this year in particular?
Yeah.
I think that that's probably something that has been going on the last few years because of people are really experiencing a lot of financial stress in the last couple of years. Because I hear that a little bit more as well. I don't know if there's anything in particular about this year.
Yeah.
But I think people also like to have a good idea of the holidays. Like we have this positive idea of the holidays that we don't want to let go of. But it doesn't. We don't necessarily experience it that way. So that's another reason why people might say, "I love the holidays, but this year I'm not feeling it."
Yeah.
Well, you love the idea of what the holiday is supposed to represent, but if you don't actually have that in your life,
I always hear people say that.
Because the holidays are about family, and if your family isn't part of it, then there's just like, well, I love the idea of family, but it's not there, so I don't feel so good about it. So,
okay. And is there another part like after the holidays where you kind of take a nosedive?
There's kind of this
because it's over with, and then it's like
there's a post-mortem sort of thing, which can come from both. Okay, well, now what do I do with all this time that I was spending celebrating the holidays? Yeah. There's that, but then there's also it didn't turn out perfect.
Yeah. Or even worse, you get that first credit card bill in January.
Oh, no.
Yeah, well, that you should expect, though.
But some people don't expect it as much as they really. It's like, oh, shit, I spent that much.
Right.
Yeah. So
pay attention.
So what would you suggest if one of our listeners out there has the holiday blues?
Well, in a lot of ways, you treat it the same way you treat depression.
Yeah.
But it's really short term, but that you do treat it like depression, and that socialize, spend time with friends. You might not want to go to parties, but if you're not going to go to parties, then make sure you actually make some quality. Go to lunch or dinner with some friends. The social support can be really, really important. Make time for yourself. Put limits on what you're going to try to do. Recognize that we are finite beings, that we can only do so much in 30 days.
Yeah. Watch the alcohol intake.
Watch the alcohol and food intake.
Get some spa treatment.
When you're right, well, do something nice for yourself.
Yeah.
Think about the things that you normally enjoy doing, and make sure you do those. Like you said, you hadn't seen a movie in a while. If you like seeing movies, then take time to go see a movie. Stuff like that. And you mentioned the alcohol consumption. We do tend to consume a lot of alcohol during the holiday season, partly because it's so readily available.
Yeah.
I mean, every Friday and Saturday night, you could be invited to a party, and then if you go, there's probably alcohol there. There's also, like I said, cakes and cookies, and cakes and cookies are sort of that short-term high, but they don't really promote the brain chemical serotonin, which really comes from proteins. The best source of serotonin is for proteins, and serotonin is the chemical in the brain that is most responsible for either depressive symptoms or not. So a lot of it could, in alcohol is a depressant. So between alcohol and not eating well, that in itself could actually bring on the holiday blues, or certainly exacerbate it. But making time for yourself, putting limits, making a budget for yourself, so that you don't have that crazy credit card bill in January, can also be very helpful. Exercising, and not just running around shopping. That doesn't count as exercise.
Well, see, everything gets so busy. That's usually one of the first things people cut out.
Right. And I know that I have this year too. Ed and I were talking recently that I think we've been to the gym like twice since Thanksgiving or something like that. But go ahead and go for a walk or something. If you can't make it to the gym, go for a walk. Go for a casual walk where you can sort of be in the present. Again, exercise promotes serotonin as well, and that's, again, serotonin is the main chemical.
What about sex?
I would never discourage sex.
Okay.
The more protein, the better.
More protein.
Cut out all holiday parties and just give head.
Yep. That'll do. That'll do it for you.
That just might. But make sure you talk to the person that you're getting head to.
Yeah. At least they shake their hand.
Don't have to know their name, but you should at least have a conversation.
Yeah.
So.
Say hi at least. Yeah.
Yeah.
Know his name, even if it's fake.
Or go to a movie together afterwards.
Okay, so yeah, that's very interesting.
So
I just enjoyed listening.
If somebody finds themselves in this position, what do they need to do? Should they give it time and just say it's the holidays? Or
what I would recommend is actually try some exercise. Try to take some time for yourself to do something nice. If come January you find yourself not coming out of it, then probably talk to someone. I think you probably are not going to need medication. Medication is really for actual depression. If someone were to try to take medication to get over the holiday blues, it would start working around the time that you'd be coming out of it anyway. But then you'd think it was the medicine, so then you sort of get yourself stuck on the medicine, and that's a really bad idea. But like I said, wait till January. Try the stuff, the exercise, the talking, the eating a little better in the short term, and then if you find that it's still going on in mid-January, then talk to someone.
What about this one? Okay, how about guys who are, or people in general, who are having this holiday blues and don't even realize it? And of course, her friends around would realize it, and intervention. How about
if you have friends that are irritable during this time of year specifically, you might want to say, hey, ask them what's going on. How are they feeling? Because some people don't pay attention to how they're feeling unless they're asked.
That's true.
And we have this habit of how you doing, and people go, oh, we're doing pretty well, regardless of how you're actually feeling. That's what you say, because that's the polite thing. You never say, I really feel like shit.
Yeah.
Unless it's someone that you really trust. But we sort of, our default is, I feel fine, or I'm doing well. But if you are concerned that one of your friends is experiencing this, then I say, okay, you said you're doing well, but I really want you to check in on this, because this is what I'm experiencing from you, and I care about you. As a way to sort of help your friend recognize what's going on, maybe.
Okay. Kind of assert myself, like. If I'm seeing there's something wrong with you, I gotta...
No. Loving. I've noticed this. I wonder if there's really maybe something going on. You can be loving yet challenging at the same time. Okay.